Good afternoon, Marquette Nation. This video is just a quick tutorial on how to administer the 3rd to 8th grade Math and ELA NWEA survey test and how to track your students' data or your student scores. So first, we want to go to the NWEA website and log in using your credentials. Once you've logged in, it should take you to the home screen of NWEA. You want to go ahead and click on Manage Test Sessions. This is just like if you were going to be administering the actual NWEA test to your students. So you can go two routes, either Test My Class or Find Students to Test, depending on the type or structure of the students you test. If you're LBS, it might be easier for you to find students to test. If you're in a departmentalized classroom, Testing My Class is probably the quickest way to go. So we're going to click Test My Class. I teach 2 sections of math, so I'm going to select my homeroom. Click Test Now. Your students will be populated into the testing window. So you have your test session name that you give your students and your password. Remember, you use the Test Nav app on the Chromebooks to test the students. You want to go ahead and select all your students because you're going to test each one of them. Now when you go to assign the test, you want to assign the survey test, which can be found at the bottom of the testing queue. So if you're Math Intermediate, you're going to test Math 2 to 5, Math Middle School 6 plus, same thing for reading. So I'm intermediate, so I'm going to click Math 2 5. I'm going to assign the survey test. It's going to populate, and it's just like, again, like if you're testing the students in NWEA. So you would give them the session name and the password. The test is about 20 questions. It is not strand specific, so it will cover all strands of both math and ELA. And it's going to end up giving you an overall RIT score at the end of those 20 to 25 questions, depending on the student and depending on the test. When you receive that RIT score, you want to make sure that you write it down or you teach your students how to record that RIT score, because then you're going to take that score and you're going to input it into the 3rd to 8th grade NWEA survey test score tracker that has also been shared with you within this email. So here you'll notice, excuse me, it's been updated a little bit with your winter RIT scores, and for most of you that had that data inside of your tracker originally, your projected RIT spring score for 2017. Now we did our best to make sure that we took the data that was in there and transferred it into this new form, but please go ahead and double check to make sure that either the winter RIT scores are correct or the projected spring RIT scores are correct if you have both of those columns filled in within your form. So we'll take this first student, who actually happens to be Mr. Alvarado's student, Ashley Cisneros. So I'm going to imagine that she was a math student of mine, and in the winter she scored a 172, but her projected RIT growth for the end of the year goal was a 175. So as of then, she did not meet. But yesterday, she took the survey test, and in the survey test, she scored a 179. So as of right now, what that means is she's on projection, or she's projected to exceed her goal score. And if you want to, you can go ahead and change that color. Also, showing that she's now exceeding her NWEA growth or NWEA goal score. Now remember, this is just a projection, not a final NWEA score, but what that does for us is it lets us know whether or not Ashley's on track to meet her or exceed her goal in spring when she takes it in May or June, depending on when her testing session happens. So after each part of every cycle, so this was the end of cycle or the midpoint of cycle 1, at the end of cycle 1 in March, we'll receive another score, and then in April and then in May, they'll take the survey test 3 more times. And what we're hoping to see, of course, is that that student is progressing closer and closer or towards their goal, or even better, exceeding their NWEA goal. Now remember, this is just a projection, it's just an estimate. It does not mean that this will be their final score, but it really helps to make your small group instruction more intentional with knowing which students you still need to focus on or which students you just need to keep enriching in order for them to continue to make that progress. So once all your students have tested, you'll input this data in the midpoint cycle 1 NWEA survey test score for February. And again, you'll use this to keep track of the progress of your students to see if they're progressing towards that end of year goal. So if you have any questions, please let myself, Mr. Patterson, or Mr. Alvarado know. But other than that, I think that that's about it. So just please make sure that you administer this test by the end of this week, or if you are teaching or testing Park this week, by the end of next week. So by the end of next week, Friday, March 17th, we would expect that all grade levels 3 to 8 have administered the first NWEA survey test and inputted their students and input their student scores inside the tracker. Thank you.